Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we turn to talking about the upcoming movie from the Marvel Cinematic Universe called Captain Marvel. This will be the first female-led girl power Marvel movie, and needless to say, it has a lot to live up to. Not only did Wonder Woman pull off the girl power superhero thing in an incredible way back in 2017, but also there's been a number of other well-known and well-liked female comic book characters who have graced the screen with unique performances in recent years. Suicide Squad, for example, while not the most liked movie in the world, it certainly did get big numbers at the box office, and, well, that was partly because it had an amazing performance from Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, who was badass, sexy, and pretty cool too. Next, how could we forget the other women of the Marvel Universe, namely the newer Scarlet Witch and, of course, the fan favorite Black Widow. And although Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow character hasn't had its own solo movie yet, one is possibly in the works, she has done a bang-up job appearing in over a half a dozen other Marvel movies, including all the Avengers films, 2 Captain America ones, and of course, her first appearance, which was all the way back in Iron Man 2, premiering in 2010. So, although the upcoming Captain Marvel film may be the first female-led one officially, she sure has a lot to live up to in the realm of female comic book characters in recent past. And that's not even mentioning her other predecessor of sorts, Black Panther. You see, last year Black Panther was the hip and progressive first black superhero, and clearly Captain Marvel is trying to bottle up that same kind of lightning this year, with her instead being the first female-led movie. And it's also the first Marvel release of this year, like how Black Panther was last year. With all that said, let's go ahead and get to today's story related to this upcoming movie. Recently, there's been a number of people, namely social justice warriors, who have been saying that others are body-shaming Captain Marvel, or more specifically Brie Larson, the actress who is playing her. And while this is partly true in a way, Larson has been criticized a bit for being a little bit too much on the skinny side, and not the more buff and muscular build a traditional superhero is usually expected to have. And I have to say, on this note, I also agree with this somewhat. And it's not necessarily just the body type for me either. Larson also just seems like a questionable fit for the role. She always seems disinterested and aloof in the trailer and all the promo pics. I don't know, maybe she was miscast in this or something. I think a lot of the reason she got this part in the first place was because she won an Oscar in early 2016 for the movie Room, and shortly after that, Marvel scooped her up for this movie right away, which seemed like a good idea at the time, but Larson's fame and notoriety has greatly dropped off since the award, and I think a lot of people are realizing she's just not as good as we once thought. And also, of course, these body shaming complaints are obviously bullshit. I mean, was it body shaming when people said Ben Affleck was looking a little too plump to be Batman? Not really. I don't remember any SJWs coming out with body shaming accusations around then, or for any of the other male heroes for that matter, who are expected to be in peak physical condition at all times. But for some reason, if you ask that of a female actress, somehow now you're a bigoted sexist monster. Give me a break. This is just some classic liberal double standard bullshit. So hypocritical, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the feminists coming up with this shit. This isn't the first controversy surrounding this movie either. Captain Marvel's problems started to come up right from the very beginning. One issue I particularly remember was surrounding the first photo of Brie Larson in the Captain Marvel costume. This picture here came out about a year ago and, well, the fans were none too impressed. First, you got her looking bored again, probably because she's reading the stock market report in that newspaper. And then, of course, there's her awkward build. That or this costume is very ill-fitting. I think maybe Larson is lacking the proper assets it takes to fill this kind of thing out, if you know what I mean. Just look at this next picture. Look at that backside. No booty whatsoever. You know it's bad when the teenage Spider-Man has a bigger butt than the grown-ass hitting the wall Captain America. And before you go and call me sexist or offensive here, just remember, just as many girls would say the same kinds of things about Spider-Man's butt, so we're allowed to say things about Brie Larson's. Don't be a hypocrite, alright? These early pictures were also the first instances of SJWs calling the critics sexist body shamers. As you can see from this Amino post I found from a year ago when this came out, the author is already calling the critics body shamers right away. We're really not though, or at least not in a bad or inappropriate way. Sure, you can call it body shaming if you want, but I would just say we are critiquing an actor's appearance. Body shaming just sounds like some made up SJW nonsense, used to belittle and silence male opinions. Really, we're doing what everyone in Hollywood, television, and fashion do on a daily basis. Judging people and their appearances is often a key part of casting and making a great film too. And again, why is it not body shaming for men? No one was accused of body shaming when they said Batman was getting fat, and no one was body shaming when they said Spider-Man might be too skinny. When the director came to Thor and told him to get extra cut up and beefy for the Avengers Infinity War sequel, that wasn't body shaming either. So should it really be body shaming when people suggest Brie Larson should work out a little bit more? I would start by doing some squats, girl. Damn, puff that butt up. At least with Wonder Woman, who is also very very skinny? Well, she also looks fit and toned and kind of worked out and really tight. It worked out for her, but I'm not seeing it with Brie Larson. And I have to say, I'm really missing Black Widow's great body now. Scarlett Johansson never had a problem in the butt department either, that's for sure. And she had a better chest and curves as well. A very athletic look, which we all appreciated over and over again. Speaking of booties, it looks like Marvel isn't as woke on this issue as you would think. They're not necessarily down with all this body positivity stuff. You see, apparently, there were reports of a casting notice from Marvel back in August where they were looking for a butt double for the upcoming Avengers Endgame movie, which was filming back then. This is a movie that will also feature Captain Marvel, and all the requirements on this casting notice fit the bill for her too. They were looking for a white chick in her 20s and 30s with blonde hair. That's gotta be a double for Captain Marvel, right? They want to get her a butt double because she's flat-assed. And looking at these set photos again, we could see why they might want to pump her booty up with a stunt double. Let's be real, guys. Besides looking bored and uninspired in her photos, Captain Marvel is also looking a little flat and not exactly fit. She's just skinny. She's skinny fat. Before you go and call me sexist again and think that it's just men who are thinking this about Captain Marvel because we're ogling pigs, well, I hate to break it to you, but women also think she's not in the best shape for this. For example, I came across a review of the Captain Marvel trailer, which I found pretty interesting. It's from a movie review channel on YouTube called Alachia Queen, and I couldn't help but notice part of the title said, "Am I body shaming Brie Larson?" Interesting she would have to explain that at all, isn't it? Apparently, in her previous Captain Marvel video, Alachia gave some criticism about Brie Larson's build. Criticism which many would find perfectly fair too, but apparently some SJWs came into the comment section and accused her of body shaming. We all know that's just a bullshit buzzword to try and vilify Captain Marvel detractors now, but let's go ahead and see what Alachia has to say about it for herself.
I did complain in my first trailer that I'm not that enamored by female superheroes that don't have the build that I'm expecting. And I got a comment just recently in that trailer reaction about me body shaming Brie Larson.
And there on the screen is the comment that accused these critiques of being body shaming. Alachia's response in the comment is pretty good too. She says if they took a super skinny model and marketed her as an average woman, calling that out wouldn't be body shaming. So taking an average looking woman like Brie Larson and marketing her as this big badass superhero who's really strong and who is rumored to be one of the most powerful ones in the MCU, well, I would say these kind of complaints about that are also just as fair. And it's not body shaming either.
That I'm expecting them all to look like bodybuilders and just beefcakes, and someone was saying I have an obsession with beefcake women, and beefcake. I might. I'm not denying it. That I like a good muscular looking woman. I like the waifs too, but I mean, there's something sexy about a woman that could hold you down.
Easy, Alachia. I think we're starting to get a little frisky here. Just kidding, of course. Really, she makes another good point here. There are lots of more buff, beefy, muscular women out there in acting. Ones that could fit into this part better than the average and bland Brie Larson. Really, I think this comes back to miscasting her. And the fact that Larson got this gig because she had that one Oscar she won in 2016, which is a commendable feat, sure, but it doesn't mean you're in great shape and that you can get into great shape, the kind that's expected for a role like this.
I don't feel like it's body shaming because my expectations come from a fantasy fiction standpoint of a character. Obviously, it's not a realistic body type. Superman's not a realistic body type. Batman's not a realistic body type. Most superheroes are not a realistic body.
Well put. These characters come from unrealistic stories, so having unrealistic expectations for the actor set to play them is actually pretty fair. Some might call it body shaming, but I think it's just wanting a badass, ripped up person to play a superhero in our comic book movie, as they should. This backlash this YouTuber received was regarding Alachia's first Captain Marvel trailer reaction, and this trailer was not exactly well received by everyone either. It didn't bomb necessarily, but it wasn't the best premiere for the character either. Yes, along with these other bumps in the road, Captain Marvel's first trailer was also a bit problematic. It again had Brie Larson looking bored and aloof, and it also had this confusing scene where she punches an old lady. One could assume this was a villain in disguise, but it still left viewers confused nonetheless. And it also led to Marvel explaining why this old lady was punched in the second trailer to clear things up, and having to clear up confusion from your first trailer in the second one is never a good sign. In the end, the claims that the critics are body shaming Captain Marvel are pretty much bullshit. If you want to call it body shaming, shaming, then it's certainly not being done in an offensive or out of line way. Really, this kind of body shaming, if you want to call it that, it's all well and good sometimes, and to be expected when you're judging big deal characters in high profile comic book movies. But instead of taking the hints and having Brie Larson work out some more or something, Marvel opted to hire butt doubles, while also going full social justice warrior and accusing the detractors of body shaming and sexism. It's a messed up backwards way to handle this whole situation, and I have to say, this all makes me very worried about how this movie will turn out. I'm still hopeful, and the MCU has yet to let us down completely, but I do have a feeling Captain Marvel won't live up to the rest of the movies. And perhaps, maybe, this could be a big pro-feminist flop, just like the Lady Ghostbusters all over again. What do you guys think? Is Captain Marvel in good enough shape to be such a powerful hero? Is criticizing Brie Larson's physique body shaming? And is body shaming all that bad to begin with? Sometimes you need a little shame to help you kickstart that diet, or to make you man up and hit the gym. Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. We'll see y'all next time.